You know, this weekend I was musing for about a week to think about what to talk about on the birth of John the Baptist, because there's so much to talk about in this particular solemnity. I mean, I could concentrate on some other things, but everything got kind of settled for me on Friday evening. I had the privilege to be with the youth of all the youth of our diocese on Friday at the Youth Leadership Conference in the Diocese of Joliet. So I presided over the first evening, which is the evening for the sacrament of reconciliation and celebration of penance and confession. So I presided over that. I had the privilege to address it, actually talk to the youth. And I've been in that place before, but as a confessor, today is my first time to actually talk to the youth. And it was so beautiful to be able to see all this. I don't know how many people, how many young ones were there, but it's got to be at least 1,000 people, 1,000 youth throughout the diocese that were there. And I really was impressed about the Youth Leadership Conference. That first evening, there were a lot of singing, a lot of the very beautiful choir they have for the diocese. They have all the seminarians there. They have 20 plus priests who are there ready for confessions. But most of all, you could see enthusiasm among the young people. They were enthusiastic. You could see that they were hungry. They wanted to hear something. You could see in their eyes that they were sort of connected with what I was saying, because I could see them. First of all, it was very nice of them, because I can see you, and the spotlight started showing, and I could see their faces. But they were really so engaged and so involved in whatever it is I was saying. So we did a lot of laughing, and we did a lot of some singing, and some clapping, and some flute. And I began by saying, I am the pastor of St. Teresa in Kankakee, and our St. Teresa, St. Patrick youth group stood and said, yeah! So it was a beautiful day. So and after the ritual of service of penance, the 20 plus priests were there started to take their spot on the right side of the gym at Lewis University, and they had all the kids, the young ones, go there then for individual confession and individual absolution. Yeah, the YLC is always done at Lewis University. So I also took my spot there then. I took my spot there and sat on the section with all the priests and heard individual confessions. And in the confession, I heard some amazing things. I heard desire to really be a better person among the young people. It was wonderful to hear, a real resolve among the young people to really take their life seriously, to really try to do their best to be good, to live in excellence. And it was just really a heartwarming day. It's really encouraging. And then there was a young man who came and sat down, and he came and said, "Hello, Father. I actually don't believe in God." So in the middle of this, there's just one guy who said, "I don't believe in God anymore, Father." Oh, okay. I was a little surprised because he was there with a confession. So I said, okay, so well, I don't presume that it's possible for me to ever hurt you, because it's not up to me. And if you have made the choice to not believe in God, would you at least give me an opportunity to understand why? So I asked, so what caused you to not believe in God? I presume that you were Catholic, and now you're not believing in God. And I said, yeah, Father, I just realized, Father, that all these religion has become the major reason why there were wars in the world. Religion has caused many of the wars in the world. And I told myself, and then I said, okay, and that's why we don't believe anymore. And so the first reaction I had was, is that true? I'm not sure that's absolutely accurate. It's possible that religion has been used, but religion itself could not have been. World War I, World War II, I think the idea of conquest is the cause of most of those wars. The Congo War, everything else. I think it's the idea of conquest that caused all the wars. But fine. So I didn't object to what he said. I just, okay. Do you think that the world would be better today if there was no religion? He didn't answer. And then I asked, because when you say that you don't want to believe in God anymore because of all these things that people do in religion, in the wars, because by religion. Well, there's to be a God if there is no religion. He just didn't answer me. So I said, I was a philosophy teacher back in the Philippines for few years, and I had students who also claimed that they didn't believe in God anymore. So I said, so if you don't mind, let me just ask you maybe one last final question. And I said, when you look around you and see all these things around you, and when you think about your own life, and when you think about the passing of the seasons, when you look up there and you see the stars, the sun, the moon, the heavens, the earth, everything else, how do you make sense of that? I said, how do you generally make sense of all these things? Do you think that these are just, there's something about these things? And he said, well, these things are things that just kind of happen. There was a collision of matter back in the day, the Big Bang, and then all of these things happened. There's now all these planets and everything else exists because of that collision that happened back in the days. Did you see that? Did you see the collision? No. So you believe a collision that you did not see. Okay, that's fine. I said, that's fine. That's fine, because I cannot convert you. I just want to pick your brain about it, because if you believe that the collision just happened and there is no real meaning to the collision, there is no one that made anything happen, that there is no reason why we have the earth, the stars, the sun, the moon, there's no real purpose for all of this, because it was not really created purposefully, but it just kind of became a random blah that happened. And so everything that's going on in the universe today is also just one big orchestra of nonsense, because there's no meaning to any of these. There's no real explanation except that it's all accidental. Doesn't that also mean then that your life, you are a meaningless entity in this existing universe? Because then your life then will also have no value, no meaning, no purpose, no real significance. Because you're also part of that world or universe that you claim to be just a product of some big bang that don't make any sense. And then he said, Father, I am here today because my mom, not because I believe in God, but because my mom is here and I wanted to help her. So he didn't really answer a lot of the questions. And at that point I realized he's probably not a real atheist, because I have read about the real atheists. I have read. Perhaps here's a young man who's probably unsure about how to make sense of his life or what to do with all the things that are going on in his life. He's probably looking for something and hungry for something, and the most convenient answer he could give to all those questions he has is, I don't believe in God anymore. It's convenient in some way. Externally convenient. Because you don't have to go to church. You're not forced to do something good. You're not required to do anything that you don't want to do anymore. So there is some convenience involved in it. But there is something underneath. There's something bigger. There's a consequence that's deeper. So I said, I said to him, man, I think you have to realize that there is some consequence to the belief, when we believe or not believe in something. So you are affected by the things that you believe and not believe in, he said. So at this moment in your life, you claim that you don't believe in God. So right now, if you continue this, your life will be the life of a person who does not believe in God. And the problem with that too is, well, then your life, where do you draw that meaning in your own life? So let me ask you, before you go, I said, I cannot give you any absolute because you don't even believe in God. I said, but let me just ask you to do one thing. I urge you to do one thing. Because I don't think he thought through enough about what he believed in or what he didn't believe in. And I said, okay then, so just one encouragement for you before you go. Please, for your sake, keep on asking questions. And he had a kind of a gentle smile on his face as he left. I wonder, and yesterday when I mentioned this to, when I did the homily, one of our parishioners said, Father, you know what? I bet that young man was comfortable enough to go to you to say that because he was actually looking for something else. And so I pray for that guy. I hope that he's okay. I hope that he'll find the rest of his life. But why am I talking about this on the feast of the birth of John the Baptist? My dear beloved saints and parishioners, when somebody tells you that your life does not have meaning, when somebody tells you that there's no purpose in your life, when you start to have those kinds of things in your head, you know there's something that's going to retaliate deep within you. Because you know it's not true. You will refuse to believe that you don't have any reason for being. That you don't have any raison d'être, they say in French. That you don't have any purpose. And that you are just some random blah in the world. Do you want that? Do you want somebody calling you that? Hey, random blah. You don't take offense to that. Why? Because it is in our very nature. It is in our very nature to seek those purposes in life. It is our very the nature of who we are to believe that we are here for some reason. That is why we have reason to begin with. That's why we keep thinking and keep asking the questions. Because we cannot be satisfied with just randomness in our lives. Now, focusing now on these readings that we hear today, and the readings of yesterday. We hear from the first reading from the prophet Isaiah. As you were formed in your mother's womb, I already know you, proclaimed so eloquently today. Very, very beautifully proclaimed. That says something. We may never be able to explain everything about the universe, but we know that that's somebody who has a purpose for us. That we are given a certain plan and purpose why we're here. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. There's a plan for you, the Lord is saying to the prophet. And also we hear a certain kind of allusion to the King David. At a very young age, a young shepherd boy, he was called forth for the purpose of his life. And we hear today, yesterday was the account of the birth of Jesus, the Annunciation was read yesterday at the Vigil Mass. And we hear the purpose of God for sending the Christ into the world. There was purposefulness, there's meaning for this wonderful event in history, that Jesus came to the world, God came to the world with Jesus Christ. And so today, we hear again the account of the birth of John the Baptist. Of all the things that were happening during that time, the story ends with all who heard these things took them to heart, saying, what then will this child be? For surely the hand of the Lord was with him. And so this child grew and became strong in spirit, and was in the desert until the day of his manifestation to Israel. So it's saying that the Lord has provided purposes to each and every one of these people, and to all of our births. You know, there was a 7-year-old boy that was brought to Mass in the Philippines. 7-year-old boy, son of a big politician. The boy's name is Erickson. And he was brought forward to the church, to the Mass that day, where the Benedictine monk was celebrating the Mass, because he said that he had a vocation, he wanted to be a priest someday. So the family was so excited about what the boy was saying at 7 years old, so they asked the priest, the Benedictine monk, hey, Father Abbot, can you please bless this boy? And so they went to Mass that day and blessed that boy, to get that boy blessed after the homily. And so after the homily, they brought the boy forward. At that same Mass, there was another boy, a 3-year-old boy, playing by the door of the church. He was 3 years old, and I guess he wasn't going to pay attention to Mass, he was playing by the door of the church. And his mother was inside, his family was inside. When the boy was brought forward, the 7-year-old was brought forward, the mom said, I want that too. What a boy, eh? And so the boy, the boy was there, and so there were now two boys in front. One was there to be left, the other one asking for it too. And the mother of the boy was freaking out in the corner and says, ooh, what's my son doing there? And so the priest stopped the mother there on the side and gave a blessing to both these boys. Eric's son, the 7-year-old boy, grew up to become a great doctor. He's now a doctor in the Philippines. And his family is still a very, very, very powerful, influential politician family in northern Philippines. The 3-year-old boy is now the pastor of St. Teresa in Castillo. I never heard his story until I finished high school. I graduated valedictorian of my class, and I had all these scholarships lined up for me to just take the biggest universities, most prestigious universities in the Philippines. And I didn't know what to do with my life. I was frozen. I'm like, what will I do? Which course will I take? And usually people start going to school in June. It was already June. I think it was June 3rd already. And I had no university to go. All the other honor students in my class already are going to the big universities. And the valedictorian is going to be a mom. That evening, my mother spoke about how I was blessed as a 3-year-old over dinner. And I said, why did you never tell me this before? And I said, I don't know, I never thought about it. The following day, I went to the bishop with my mother and said, Bishop, I didn't want to go to the seminary. And so, well, you are late. But he said, look, let me see what I can do. So I was late for about 7 to 10 days, if I remember it right. I was late going to seminary, but many years later I became a priest. And I looked back to it and I said, that is a purpose. When I got ordained, after I got ordained, I went to see the Benedictine monk that blessed me. And he said, I remember it very well. And I knew you were going to be a priest. And he knelt before me and asked for my blessing. Powerful. I'm encouraged by that because that's my own life. But I know if you search deeply in yours, you'll realize that God has dropped hints in your life, what He wants you to become, what His purpose for your life is. My dear friends, that's what we celebrate today. That we have an awesome God who has a great plan for all of you and me, that He has a purpose for you and me, and that we are not just here randomly. We are here for a reason. Together then with John the Baptist on the Feast of His Birth, we celebrate and give thanks to God for all those purposes and intentions that He has for each and every one of all those that belong to the human family. Amen.